Okay, welcome again to our weekly marketplace influencer session. We have a special guest right now. The, the reason why I get to know her name is because 2 years ago, while wala pang pandemic, we organized this event in their school, sa Messiah College, which is just walking distance from my house, basically. And they were showcasing the graduates of Messiah College. And this one person stood out for me, especially the topic kasi we're discussing it now. Even though it has been discussed for a couple of years already, pero it remains relevant because syempre, sabi nga nila iba, the workplace, the situation, the workplace and the home is evolving on its own. Parang nga sa, just like what they're saying, because of our situation right now, work and home are crossing boundaries and it's affecting everyone basically. Naalala ko nga minsan nga sa meeting daw, kaya pala naka-off camera, nagkakagulo na pala sa bahay. Kakagulo na pala sa bahay. So, it's in the middle of our work. It's in the middle of our work. Tapos may gulo na pala nangyari doon. Kaya pala naka-off camera, feel mo na parang ano ba tong kasamaan mo, hindi nagko-cooperate and something's ongoing na pala at the backstage and that's affecting people. And she's a graduate of Messiah College, yun na-mention ko na, and she's a clinical psychologist, but she's taking her leave right now because she's taking her PhD. That's why if just in case you are needing advice, probably we hope to answer to this video kasi she's on leave. Kasi and at the same time, as a citizen, any one of us, we have a responsibility to help right now. It's a team effort. Actually, it cannot be done by a few also. So like what I mentioned, she's a clinical psychologist and her name is Shaina Cua. Let's welcome Ms. Shaina Cua.
Hello, hi. Thank you po for having me.
Okay, Shaina. Ito yung question ko na lang kasi laging nagagamit tong two terms na to, mental health and depression.
Yeah.
My question is there really, are they the same or is there any difference? Para lang mas klaro din kasi minsan di namin maintindihan which is which, but can you explain na lang?
Yes. Actually, that is a good question because I think since the pandemic started, everyone is just mentioning mental health, depression, anxiety. It's all over Facebook. It's all over Instagram, diba? So parang ano nga ba talaga yon? So mental health, just like physical health, lahat tayo meron yan. Mental health, lahat ng tao meron. So there is no such thing or we cannot say na ay wala akong mental health. Because when we say mental health, we're talking about the psychological well-being of a person, the emotional well-being of a person, the social well-being of a person. So what does that mean? So that means how do you handle stress? Or when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling frustrated, how do you handle that? Ikaw ba yung klase ng tao na gusto ko muna ng space, gusto ko muna mapag-isa? Or ikaw ba yung tipong tao na kailangan mo mag-vent out, kailangan mong may sabihan? You know, that's part of your emotional well-being. Psychological well-being naman is how do you now see yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror every day, do you see someone na kahit mahirap ang buhay, kaya ko to? Or do you see someone na kahit anong gawin ko, palpak ako lagi. Kahit anong gawin ko, pangit talaga diskarte ko. So how you see yourself. And then, how you see other people as well. Do you see other people na everyone is out to get me? Lahat ng tao ayaw sa akin. Lahat ng tao competition ko. Or do you see other people as someone that you can rely on? So that is part of your mental health also. And then the social aspect na how do you relate to other people? How do you, whenever you are in conflict, ikaw ba yung umiiwas sa conflict? Or ikaw yung hindi ka takot sa confrontation? So all of that as human beings, we experience that, correct? So that is part of our mental health. So all of us, definitely, we have mental health. Now, ano naman ang depression? Depression in itself, it's just an emotional state. like sadness. I feel sad today because I cannot go out to see my friends. I cannot go out to work kasi binawi nila yung GCQ, right? So we feel that sadness. It's an emotional state. Depression is an emotional state. It's not necessarily an illness. Pero we have what we call the clinical depression. When we say clinical depression, that means this is diagnosed by a licensed professional. Meaning, nagpunta ka sa doktor, nagpunta ka sa psychologist or psychiatrist, at sinabi nila sa'yo na meron kang clinical depression or major depression. So that is now a mental health problem or a mental health issue. So yun yung difference. Lahat tayo, meron tayong mental health, pero hindi lahat sa atin ay merong mental health problem or mental health issue katulad ng major depression. Pero lahat tayo at some point of our lives pwedeng na-depress, but not necessarily yung illness na depression.
Okay. Oh, thank you for clearing that up. At least actually it's a very clear explanation. So translate ko naman. Mental health is we all have mental health. So,
correct. Yes.
So hindi naman necessarily na mental health issue or mental health problem. Kaya kapala doon ko na naintindihan ang what you shared on emotional state. Actually, ngayon ko na naintindihan. Banya emotional state, sabi nyo, the person needs space. Imagine mo yung work from home. Because nyari isip ko sa work from home, nasa bahay ka naman, relax ka naman. Baka you can do more work pa. Tapusin mo na, ganon. Tuloy, some people are having difficulties because nasa bahay sila and they're still working beyond the work hours and it depresses them. So, nagkakaroon ng wala nang boundaries. Or minsan sa gitna ng trabaho, kaya pala hindi masyadong agad nag-respond, nagbabantay ng bata, na yung space niya to work, naging multitask. And you also mentioned about the social aspect kasi nakita ko nga sa work from home. Dati, kain tayo sa labas. Yung payday, kain mo tayo sa labas. Wala nang ganon. So natanggal yung social.
Correct.
So that's the mental health. Those are covered.
Yes.
Tapos depression is the state.
Yes. So the things that we're experiencing now, like work from home, nawalan ng boundaries, nawalan tayo ng space to unwind, nawalan tayo ng ability to go out with friends, lahat yan naapektuhan yung mental health natin. And that is why when we are not careful, we can develop mental health issues or it can aggravate or pwedeng lumala into mental health problems.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. At least it's very clear. You were able to define it well in a simple way. Mental health is all we have. We all have mental health. Depression is a state depending on the situation. So, and clinical depression is something like you are
diagnosed
sa consultation, diagnosed na talaga.
Yes.
And yun. Tapos, if mental health is out of control, that's where mental issues or mental health problems come in pa lang. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Siguro yung ask ko na lang din is, especially hindi ako expert. Kasi mahirap sa US right now especially you cannot just give advice and it will be used against you. It will be used against you. Without discussing clinical depression, kasi sa tingin ko naman, hindi naman siya malaking case. I think the bigger case is the mental health issues kasi everyone's working from home, everyone cannot travel, everyone cannot socialize as it was before. So, di ko alam kung paano mo i-dissect to kasi ma-feel ko ang broad din na to, but sa case namin, maybe we can ask about suicide later, ibang case din yan eh. But let's say sa especially with the work from home issues, especially if you have workmates, kasi they say na it's not like before eh, talagang hirap talaga. So, sa what should be my role? People like me, what should be our role to help manage it, not aggravate it? Kasi minsan nisip ko, parang insensitive ng tao sa issue na to, lalong nag-aggravate yung sitwasyon, di lalong nakatulong. Is there anything you want us to advise on this area?
Yes, yes. Actually, you made a good point po when you said that hindi naman natin kailangan antayin na meron tayong, major depression bago we take good care of our mental health. I think that's the common misconception, na parang wala naman akong sakit wala naman akong mental health problem, so okay pa ako. Or okay pa yung workmate ko kasi hindi naman siya diagnosed. But in reality, all of us are experiencing some sort of sadness right now. All of us are experiencing some sort of anxiety, fear. So we need to help each other para hindi lumala yung situation natin and we can help each other cope in this very difficult time. So to answer your question, ano yung pwede natin gawin na lahat tayo makakagawa? First, I always tell my clients, and even when I speak to different organizations, very important yung word na acknowledge. Acknowledge. So, acknowledge first sa sarili and acknowledge sa ibang tao. So, sa sarili, when we say acknowledging yung sarili mong karanasan, sarili mong nararamdaman, many times as Filipinos kasi, very guilty tayo sa yung feeling na ayoko maging pabigat. So, hindi na lang ako magsasalita. Or guilty tayo na natatakot tayo na masabihan ng OA, natatakot tayo ma-judge, natatakot tayo sabihin, ang KSP mo naman, ang sensitive mo naman, ang emotional mo naman. So, the tendency is, we keep everything inside. Diba? Kinikim-kim na lang natin lahat sa sarili natin. And when that happens, ang nangyayari is para tayong volcano na bukas makalawa sa sabog. Bukas makalawa, magkakaroon ng mental breakdown or emotional breakdown. And I'm sure all of us have experienced that during the pandemic, wherein isang araw gigising tayo at maiiyak na lang tayo. Diba? Or napagsabihan lang tayo ng boss natin pero parang sumabog na tayo kasi hindi na natin kaya. So very important that first we acknowledge what we're feeling. Even if it's just a simple irritation, even if it's just a simple sadness, yung hindi pa nagpa-pile up, we have to acknowledge that. So siguro a practical tip will be, every day before you go to sleep, you ask yourself, kamusta ba ako ngayon? Anong nararamdaman ko ngayon? What is something positive that happened to me today? What is something negative that happened to me today? So kapag iniisip natin yon, or if you want to write it down on a journal, or maybe type it on your cell phone, that gives you an avenue to externalize it, to put it on paper, to put it on your phone, to actually verbalize it, para hindi natin kinikim-kim. Another tip for families and even for friends or like office mates, whenever you gather, pagka-family siguro, pagka sabay-sabay kayong kakain ng dinner, or kaya kapag may konting meeting, kahit na virtual meeting lang with your co-workers, siguro maganda na everybody shares. What is a positive thing that happened to you today? Or what is a negative thing that happened to you today? When everybody shares, may outlet ka.
Okay.
Right? You are able to acknowledge what you're feeling. Nakakamusta mo ang sarili mo. Because many times, kinakamusta natin ang lahat, pero nakakalimutan natin kamustahan yung sarili natin. Right? So that is the first thing. You acknowledge whatever you're feeling. You acknowledge your genuine human experience. Hindi ka in denial. Hindi mo pinapaniwala yung sarili mo. Ay, okay lang ako. Kaya ko pa. It's okay to admit na, what? I'm having a bad day right now. Admit that to yourself. Be honest about it to yourself. Because the more you deny it, alam naman natin yun di ba, na hindi naman yan basta-basta mawawala, porket lang hindi mo inisip. Babalik at babalik yan hanggat hindi mo hinaharap. So it's better to actually acknowledge it. Now, how do we naman help other people? We acknowledge other people first by actively listening. When we say actively listening, when somebody is sharing with us, we really listen. We try to imagine na ano kayang nararamdaman nitong tao na to in this situation. And then when you're with them or kapag video call na ganito, you avoid doing other things.
Okay.
For example, may nag-share sa'yo, no? Tapos nasa cellphone ka, 'di ba? Minsan guilty tayo as Filipinos sa ganyan. Pero anong mararamdaman ng tao kapag nakikita niya na hindi ka talaga nakikinig at nagsi-cellphone ka lang, 'di ba? So, it's very important to maintain eye contact if you're with the person. It's important na as the person is speaking, you actually say, "Aha." Yeah, para alam mo 'yun, para maramdaman ng person na 'yon na nakikinig ka talaga. So, actively listening. Pangalawa is you validate. When we say you validate, is you here's techniques na ginagamit natin, and you can use this also for your family members, for your friends, for your employees. You use the words I sense, I feel, I hear. No, I hear that you're really frustrated right now. Alam mo, nararamdaman ko yung galit mo ngayon. Alam mo, nararamdaman ko yung kalungkutan mo ngayon. Instead of using the word I understand. Many times, we use the word I understand with the intention na I just want to comfort you. Correct? Pero, in reality, do we understand? In reality, we don't really understand. Right? In reality, yung tao lang na nagsasuffer, yung nakakaintindi ng sitwasyon niya. So we cannot say, I understand. Kahit na in our mind, parang ganyan din yung naranasan ko dati. Parang different pa din. Because you're a different person. That person is a different person. So, instead of saying, I understand, mas magandang we use the word, nararamdaman kita. Naririnig kita. Naririnig ko yung sinasabi mo. Naririnig ko na malungkot ka ngayong araw na ito. Naririnig ko na irritable ka ngayon. And also, we can avoid saying everything will be okay. Because to a person who is suffering, you don't have the guarantee that everything will be okay. Hindi natin yun magagarantiya. Correct? So, we avoid saying, I understand. We avoid saying everything will be okay. And then we also avoid saying na, alam mo, ako nga, ganito-ganito yung nangyari sa akin. Let's not make it about us. Because that person is sharing her struggles or her struggles. So, hindi natin pwedeng kunin yung spotlight. Diba? And make it everything about us. Right? So, instead, we say, naiintindihan na, alam mo, naririnig kita, na nararamdaman ko yung nafe-feel mo. And when you do not really know exactly what the person is feeling, it's better to be honest. It's better to say, alam mo, hindi ko talaga ma-imagine kung ano yung nararamdaman mo at nararanasan mo ngayon, pero nandito ako para makinig sa'yo. Pero nandito ako para samahan ka. That's very honest. So a person who is struggling would feel na, hindi man niya naiintindihan exactly ng nararamdaman ko, but this person is with me. Alam ko na pwede kong tawagan tong tao na to. Alam kong pwede kong kausapin tong taong ito. So those are basic and practical tips that I believe will be powerful if we practice it. Because ito yung mga bagay na hindi natural para sa atin. So you have to practice it.
Okay. Siguro tayo ko is-sum up na lang. Siguro yung sa personal, it's you have to acknowledge.
Yeah.
With your group mates, probably your family or your team, create an avenue where they can share something that they can be thankful about. So yung first part
positive and negative. Yeah.
So yung second one is aim to validate na parang instead of avoid using I understand you.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Avoid the spotlight. May mga avoid talaga. Okay. at least that helps actually na it's okay not to really understand them. It's okay not.
Yes. Kasi iba-iba tayo
So
ng experience eh. So we cannot pretend that we can understand them, correct?
so at least it's a clear. It's okay not to understand them, but you said also about actively listening. Actively
Yeah.
listening, avoid multitasking. So okay. So thank you for that advice. Actually, medyo madami, but I get to see the and then yung dynamics, but it's more of, if I can sum it up also, the person is going through something, just you acknowledge yourself, you acknowledge their situation na lang din. Parang at least
Yes.
yung, so at least that's one way na nakita ko na maybe this, the goal is to manage it, not to aggravate it.
Yeah.
So
And
okay.
also I would wanna add, for us to parang more on just have a mindset. Whenever somebody shares with us their problems, we are not there to fix it. Many times
Okay.
kasi our mindset is how can I solve this? How can I fix the person's problem? The person a lot of times, the people who are struggling, they just want someone to listen. They just want someone to be with them. They just want someone to validate them and tell them na may karapatan kang maramdaman yung nararamdaman mo. Hindi ka baliw para maramdaman yan. Kung ako yung nasa sitwasyon mo, ganyan din yung mararamdaman ko. We just want that kind of person who will listen, 'di ba? Who would validate. And that's our goal. Not to fix their problems, not to solve their problems. If they ask for a solution, if they ask for an advice, if they ask for us to help them fix the problem, then we can. Pero if they just want to share, we just have to listen. Let's avoid giving unsolicited advice.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I'll repeat again yung mga natin ko. Acknowledge, even for yourself. Acknowledge kasi minsan maka-insensitive tayo na di natin nakita tayo din pala may ganun din. So try to create an avenue where they can share. So actively listening and avoid multitasking. Aim to validate them kasi nga by avoiding it's okay, I understand, and avoid the spotlight then. So thank you for sharing that. Siguro na lang, kasi naman to especially I just feel like there's a shortage of psychologists, clinical psychologists. What made you decide na this is the pathway? Kasi ang tanong ko is what's your advice to those who aspire also? Kasi I think there are some people who wants it, but minsan nadi-discourage din sila to push through with it. What encouraged you to pursue this kind of career path?
You know what? When I was in high school, hindi pa uso ang psychology. So, syempre, parang wala namang usually pag anong gusto mong course ng college, 'di ba? Ang iisipin nila, doctor, architect, engineer, all this, yung mga masikat na professions. But that time, I remember, I have questions in my head na bakit ang mga tatay iniiwan na lang ng ganun-ganun ng mga anak nila? Why would father leave their families? Why would mothers abandon their children? Why would teenagers rebel against their parents? Marami akong tanong about human behavior. And then I remembered watching a docu of eating disorders. So parang ang dami kong tanong na bakit may mga nagsastruggle ng ganon? And I asked someone, sabi ko, ano ba yung course that studies human behavior? So doon nagsimula. So parang in-advise ako na psychology. So sabi ko, okay, meron palang such thing as psychology. So that's what I chose. Pero pinasok ko yun na hindi ko talaga alam kung anong pinapasok ko. I just know that I want to understand people better. I want to understand why people act the way they do, why they think the way they do. And when I was already in college, parang doon nag-start because you get to learn you get to start learning already about psychology, ganyan. That's when I realized na especially here in the Philippines, hindi natin masyadong binibigyan ng priority ang mental health. Diba? Mas binibigyan natin ng emphasis ang physical health. Oo nga naman, kasi ang physical health, nakikita siya. Sakit ng ulo, sakit ng tiyan, 'di ba? Sakit ng paa, mas mas visible siya. So, ngayon hindi natin nakikita na meron palang sakit din sa loob. Meron ding depression, meron ding anxiety. And so that's when I began to have that burden na I want to help these people who are struggling on the inside. But I also know that during that time, ang tingin sa mga ganong tao, baliw. Di ba? May stigma. Ang tingin sa mga ganong tao, nasisiraan na ng bait. So I wanted also, while I was studying, parang sabi ko, hindi naman totoo yun. Hindi naman porket you're struggling on the inside, baliw ka na, o nasisiraan ka ng ulo. And all of us, at one point in our lives, ano man ang religion mo, Kristiyano ka man o hindi, nakakaranas ka ng ganon. So sabi ko, this is a common experience, a universal experience that everybody is going through. So I want to be part of, alleviating. I want to be part of helping those people. So doon nag-start yung journey na yon.
Thank you for sharing that. Kasi dalawa lang pwedeng mangyari sa psychology kasi sabi mo, understanding behavior. It's either to help them or to sell them. Kasi hindi ko sa marketing psychology.
Yes,
may one tao,
yes.
I want to understand them by selling them. Dalawa lang pwede
mangyari.
Consumer,
correct. Consumer psychology. And meron pa, karamihan ng mga taong kumukuha ng psychology ngayon, marami sa kanila na pupunta sa HR. Diba? Like organizational behavior. Ganyan. Pero konti pa lang yung talagang pumupunta sa path ng clinical psychology.
Well, it's not surprising going to clinical kasi mismo HR, ang daming umaalis na rin ng HR. There's a shortage of HR na rin. So, clinical is not surprising that people are taking kasi mismo HR, people are not giving up already sa HR. So yan. So thank you, Shaina Cua, really for the time. Siguro to sum up ko lang din. I guess what you shared really helped me also kasi as I've been dealing with small groups from abroad, hindi madali Imagine mo, for the first time, there's no guarantee that you can come home to the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I know it affects them. And that's the first thing that came to my mind. I know it's affecting them. Imagine mo, di ba, pag Christmas sa atin, medyo relax na. Kami, nag-i-small group pa rin kami. Kahit Christmas and after Christmas, tuloy-tuloy lang kami. Kasi something impressed upon me, they have a difficult situation than yours. You spend time with them. Tapos yung na-share mo nga na acknowledge. I realized during those times na nakatulong sa small group namin, I acknowledged that I went through a struggle also during this time. I acknowledge it. Tapos, doon sa small group namin, meron ka bang gustong you are thankful about? You shared about an avenue where they can share something. And you were able to emphasize again, actively listening and avoid multitasking. It's a struggle actually. It's a struggle kasi pwede kasing mag-off video ka, tapos ano mga pinagagawa mo na off video, it's like actively. It's a good reminder. I'm in a way, it remind me, I have to listen actively and avoid doing other things at the same time. And aim to validate. Basically, yun sa akin. Kasi ginawa ko ng A pa, matandaan ko na lahat Aim to validate. Kasi it's not about you din naman Kasi you acknowledge, dinaanan mo din yan. So you aim to validate them. And it's a good thing that you mentioned, it's not good to avoid saying it's okay. Avoid using, kasi narinig ko, it's okay to feel like that Tama ba yun?
Yeah.
Okay lang
actually,
yun.
okay lang sabihin na, it's okay that you feel that way.
Okay, okay. Iba
It's
pala
okay
yung
because
iniisip mo kanina.
yeah,
Okay, sorry. Continue.
you wanna validate kasi na may karapatan sila sa nararamdaman nila because that's how they feel, right?
Okay.
What we do not wanna do lang kasi is to say that we understand kasi in reality we're not in their position
Okay.
and to say that everything is okay because everything is not okay. 'Di ba?
Okay. So it's okay to say, it's okay to feel that way, but
Yes.
it's not okay to say everything will be okay. Yun na lang.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Avoid saying it will be okay. Avoid saying na pala na everything's gonna be okay. Kasi hindi nga talaga eh. Imagine mo, unpredictable talaga. Kasi people were expecting a year ago, matatapos na to by
Yeah.
September, back to normal. September na
Yeah.
noong 2021, it's beyond. Hindi po bumalik sa
Yes.
normal. And even our president said, ako naman, I already adjusted to the situation. Sinabi niya kasi na sana by December mag-back to normal na. And nag-trigger sa mind ko, hindi pa ganon. So, kasi what helped me also is I learned to adjust na lang. Kasi wala eh. You have to improvise your situation na lang eh. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
avoid
Yeah.
it. Everything's gonna be okay. Avoid I understand and avoid the spotlight. Yan.
Yeah.
And what you're gonna
Yeah, I just wanted you pointed out something that I think is very crucial. You said that you just learned to adjust. And I think in our lives, this can be a tip also for us. We have to know what we can control and what we cannot control. Because many times we focus on the things that we cannot control. So we get anxious, 'di ba? We get frustrated. But in reality, wala naman tayong magagawa eh. Right? So we have to learn how to accept the things that we cannot control, but also do something about what we can control. And that's the reason why for a lot of my clients and even for myself, we have also to learn how to limit our news consumption.
okay.
Kailangan nating i-limit yung mga pagtingin-tingin natin ng mga balita, yung mga pagbasa-basa natin ng mga news, not because we do not want to be informed. Of course, we want to be informed. But many times, the things that we are reading, the things that we are watching, wala tayong control dyan. So, mas gusto natin mag-focus sa, okay, ano yung meron akong control to keep myself safe? Right? So I think we also have to be aware of that. The things that we can control and the things that we cannot control.
Okay, that's another learning. Actually, narinig ko na rin yan. Pero it's a good thing you mentioned it kasi nawala na sa mind ko siya eh. You have to limit your news consumption.
Yeah.
Talagang, yes, it's good to be informed, but there are times it's okay not to be informed. Kasi last year, for a while, it helped me last year. I did not follow the news last year. Siguro mga several months din ako hindi nag-follow ng news. So, it really helped me actually. Several months ago, I think it reached mga 4 to 5 months. I don't, right now, the reason why I follow the news again is because parang I just want to be aware what I can adjust with na lang din. So,
Yeah.
but it really helped. So, nakita ko din. So, try to limit the consumption na lang. So, thank you for reminding that. Try to limit. Especially right now, election na naman. I was listening now that we have 89 million Filipinos in social media. The politics, they will see a huge swing of political campaign in the social media. So toxic yan. So maybe this is the best time to limit na kasi very toxic yan eh. It's not gonna help anymore. It's not gonna help. So yan. Thank you, Shaina Cua, for really taking time. I really appreciate this. Even me, I've learned a lot from this. That's why every time I do something else, I want to learn from it also. Not just for the people, but for me also. So she is busy right now. She's taking a leave. I'm not gonna advise to bother her right now. That's why, as citizens of this country, we have a part to play. Lahat tayo may part na right now. So it doesn't have to be a clinical psychologist. Unless it's a clinical depression, doon na lang wag mo na ano, kasi iba kinakasuhan sa ibang bansa eh. So if it's a clinical depression, so better look for options. Siguro meron bang association na people can endorse? Is there something like the association of clinical psychologists that can, I don't know, kasi lahat lang ako masyadong alam sa ganun eh. Just in case, kasi clinical depression na to, kahit hindi mo na i-discuss, kasi hindi naman natin dapat, hindi natin forte to, is there an organization that people can refer them? Kasi ito yung problema eh, saan mo i-refer niya, magpapakamatay na, mga ganun.
We do have an association. We have the Philippine Association of Psychologists. Pero I think it's easier ngayon because of the pandemic. Yung mga schools like Ateneo, LaSalle, UST, may mga counseling centers sila na UP, may mga counseling centers sila nag-o-offer ng mga free counseling, ganyan. So you just go to, Google or like Facebook, even Red Cross. Okay. Ang Red Cross, meron din silang mga free mga counseling, ganyan. And then they can help us refer to yung mga professionals talaga. Pero I like what you said, that yes, we can refer, we can lead them to professionals, but as daughters, as a friend, as employees, as people na kahit na hindi tayo professional, we can do something. We can be a better friend, we can be better children, we can be a listening ear to other people, we can validate people. So very true yung point mo that we have to do our part as well.
Okay. So yun, thank you for sharing that. Kasi inisip ko din naman na we are in the same boat eh. So it can hit anyone. Actually, as bad the pandemic may sound, but this is also an issue na masusurprise din tayo minsan. So I guess if it happens to our loved ones, probably what can we do na rin? Kasi we do not know if there are, as limited na yan eh. So thank you, Shaina Cua, for this time. I hope this session helps. Just in case, you can Google Ateneo, UP, LaSalle, and even Red Cross, they give free consultations. So at least there are avenues like this na rin. So just in case people are in need talaga, sobrang in need of it. Thank you. Hope you guys join us again for our next interview. God bless everyone.